Will, the us still in wolf form stood perfectly still, which if you've never seen a creature built like us, a very large wolf, entirely made from violence, standing perfectly still is quite difficult to explain properly to the unseen of such a thing as a giant wolf standing still. Stillness in ordinary things is often peaceful. Stillness in predators is administration. The mountain breeze, let's get all poncy about the description, lovingly caressed our thick black fur. The remains of Bert dripped slowly from my teeth. I have to admit the taste was a little specialised. Umami, is it? Zombie flesh is, well, not the best. I held one paw slightly from the ground as though we'd forgotten what movement was for. The pot balloon remnants, refer to the earlier episodes for this to make any sense, fluttered gently away in the beautiful alpine wind, and oh, it was cold and refreshing as it fluttered through the old pelt. And, well, on top of that, the silence. It was, well, really quiet.
That were a shit explanation,
Fen said to me hopefully. Then,
oh,
Fen's voice changed its tone somewhat inside he wasn't frightened, he wasn't enlightened, he was just deeply disappointed. I sat down heavily upon the hillside. The grass bent beneath our weight. The surviving Bert shuffled over, carrying the enormous pin beneath one arm, while the severed Bert head was tucked under the other like forgotten shopping. It strangely looked as though he'd done this very thing before. Maybe even a few times.
There we are then,
said Headbert.
All sorted.
I blinked at him. Fucking weird. I looked at the dead balloon skin now caught in a bush some way away, then back at the whole Bert. I felt my wolfy face fall into a state of questionalitedness. That's it. The questionatedness was aimed at the last of the rubber membrane. That's it? I asked. That's empathy?
I don't know,
formed in my mind from Fen.
Well,
said Bert Body thoughtfully.
There were probably meant to be lessons involved in that.
Added the head.
Emotional growth. Reflection, like. Consequences. You know, that sort of thing.
We both stared at the living corpses through one set of eyes, then immediately vomited half a zombie into a glistening pile.
Oh, that's ruined that bloody boiler suit,
said the zombie head.
Not even Bertina can get the stains out of that bloody one. Cotton doesn't, grow on trees, grows on bushes, don't it?
The head continued talking away to itself.
Did you learn out?
Asked the whole corpse. All I could think about was that zombie was so much better on the way down than on the way up. A bit like tuna. I couldn't tell him I'd learnt that though, because the wolf's anatomy has not evolved for complex conversation. The voice box and mouth not good at forming words, it's just a mouthful of knives really for killing stuff. So I shook my head as an answer to the query. I think the zombie and the remnants of the other zombie got the idea of what I meant. I think they could hear, maybe even the conversation that Fen and I were having in my head. Who knows? I stood back up. My pelt was coated in sticky dampness and because of this needed a good, shake. That felt good. My body's spiralling movement sprayed gore, fur and mountain dew everywhere and was freeing in a way that humans would never understand. I smacked my lips from thirst. I needed a drink to rinse these, rotten scraps out of my mouth. What could I see? The mountains, they remain beautiful. Birds found the balls to start singing again. The rivers glittered. Rivers, perfect. A wash and a good rinse of the old toothy pegs. Maybe some salmon for afters? Somewhere nearby a stag barked softly in alarm. Maybe venison even. Then something in me became alarmed. I narrowed our vast yellow eyes. Fen?
Yeah?
Is this it? Fenrir's presence shifted uneasily inside me now. Not fear.
Hey, you bugger. Are you listening?
Something worse. Suspicion,
No,
said the ancient wolf soul quietly.
no, lad.
I said, are you listening?
This is welcome brochure.
The air changed, not dramatically. That was the problem. No thunder cracked, no...
Bert, he's not bloody listening, the bloody bugger. It's as though we aren't here.
Skies darkened, no demonic choir rose from the abyss. Instead, something subtle just vanished. We noticed it immediately.
You big wolfy knobhead, listen, will you? Remember, don't be rude to the customers. Rule number 2, after, don't eat customers' brain.
Predators, well, we always do. The birds have stopped, not flown away, just stopped mid-song.
Well, I know, but he is a right bloody ignorant bastard, though, into this one, Bert.
The river still moved, but now without sound. The trees swayed silently. The world had become a living painting pretending to be alive.
Ah, it bloody is, Bert. Left me like this and ain't even given it a 5-star bloody rating.
I looked around for the... Something really was not right. Fen?
Aye.
Something's wrong.
Aye, I'll bloody say that something bloody wrong, alright, you bugger. You're an ignorant git, ain't you? That's what's bloody wrong with you.
I felt my hackles rise unwillingly, and then a cottage appeared before our small group. It simply existed now halfway down the hillside. Small...
Right, well, bugger you then. We're bloody off. Let's get back and see what we can do bodily-wise for you, Bert. Oh, that would be right grand, that would, Bert. I have to admit I'm feeling a little bit light-headed, to be honest. We do have a laugh at work, don't we, Bert? Helps pass the eternity.
Warm-looking, stone walls, a thin stream of smoke from the chimney, yellow light glowing in the windows, perfect, painfully perfect. We just stared at it. Something ancient and buried shifted inside our chest. Memory, not real memory, the sort of memory lonely creatures invent for themselves. The idea of a real home. Fenrir growled deep within us, a warning, I think.
Do not trust that thing.
I took a slow step toward the cottage as our two inner beings struggled. The front door opened. Warm firelight spilt out across the grass, and standing in the doorway was a me. The will bit of us, me, the human me, or something pretending very carefully to be me. I looked clean, comfortable, barefoot, soft grey jumper, a mug of tea held to warm my hands, no blood anywhere. That alone made the scene, well, horrifying. The will thing smiled warmly. You can stop now, it said gently. I froze. My breathing slowed. Stop what? I asked. All of it, it answered. The fake me leaned casually against the doorway. Behind him, the cottage looked impossibly inviting. Bookshelves, fireplace, a heavy blanket draped beside a chair, soft music, rain against windows. There was no rain to do it. The smell of coffee, the smell of safety. You don't have to fight anymore, said the thing kindly. No prisons, no hunters, no gods, no killing, no fear. We stared at him. I stopped moving. No Fen either, said the thing softly. Fen laughed in my head. That hit, that hit. Then Fen snarled immediately inside our shared body.
It lies.
But I was already staring harder now because the thing in the doorway looked tired, not weak, not broken, just relieved. And some tiny exhausted part of me wanted that more than blood. The fake version of myself smiled sadly. You could rest. I took another step forward. Inside myself, Fenrir's growl became thunderous.
Will.
He yelled mentally. Can't you feel it? Asked the fake human softly. No hunger, no rage, no loneliness, no need to be monstrous. My claws dug uncontrolled trenches into the hillside. My breathing became uneven. Behind the fake me, the cottage shifted subtly. The room beyond became exactly what I would want most. Not luxury, not wealth, acceptance, peace, belonging, no judgment, no fear, no need to hide what I was. The fake me raised his mug slightly, a hint of smugness. You could just simply be. And there it was, the most dangerous sentence ever uttered in hell. I whimpered. I actually whimpered.
Lucifer. I had changed the channel to the wolf's hell. I slowly stopped smiling at what I had been watching over the last few minutes. Even fate had lowered his half-masticated custard cream. I heard Father Mackenzie whisper something that sounded suspiciously like a prayer. I felt part of me snarl at this. Now Balfastus's hell had finally become clever. The wolf approached the doorway slowly. 1 step, 2, 3.
Fen was roaring warnings inside of me, but I could barely hear him. The cottage smelled warm, the fire crackled softly, the fake version of me smiled with heartbreaking understanding. You've suffered enough. I stopped inches from the doorway, and for one terrible moment...
Lucifer. I genuinely thought the wolf might step inside. Then it sniffed once, paused, sniffed again. Silence. Its ears twitched, its head tilted slightly. And then...
I frowned. Fen.
Aye?
This thing smells wrong. The fake me blinked, a hint of concern. I leaned closer, sniffed deeply. My predatory senses. Then I recoiled in disgust. Oh, that's fucking revolting, I said. The fake human maintained its smile, but it now looked strained. What? It asked. My wolfen lips slowly peeled back from saliva-soaked teeth. He smells like someone pretending to be happy. A pause. That's unnatural, I thought. The fake will faltered. How could he hear my thoughts? You could be free here. A begging quality in its voice. Never. Nah, I thought. Too creepy. The thing's expression twitched. I say thing because I now realise it was just that, not me, but an imagined version of me. Me and Fen, narrowed our eyes further. Also, another long sniff. You smell like fucking lavender and therapy. The not me thing's face twisted with genuine revulsion. Fen?
Yes, lad.
I think the thing wants us to process emotions. Fenrir's answering snarl shook the mountains.
Kill it.
Gladly, I said. The fake will opened its mouth to protest, and I hit him like a roaring giant black wolf made entirely from unresolved violence. I bit, tore and stamped. The cottage exploded. Glass, fire, wood, and teeth, lots of teeth. The entire mountainside vanished beneath an avalanche of black fur and apocalyptic rage as the thing was ripped apart with sheer ecstatic fury. And somewhere very far away...
Lucifer. Nothing psychologically works on him. Well, that is interesting.
It is difficult to believe. Difficult to believe I still have my sanity. I'm sitting on the flipping throne of hell and trying to not think about the fact that this is, objectively speaking, due to a series of very bad life choices made by me. Although I don't remember being offered choice. I was told what I would be doing. What would my mother say to me sitting on the throne of hell? It's a proper throne. Well, that's the first problem. Not symbolic, not metaphorical, not one of those "this chair feels like responsibility" situations people describe in novels when they mean a slightly uncomfortable, oversized armchair. No. This is an actual seat of authority carved out of a block of black obsidian that doesn't reflect light so much as refuse to acknowledge it even existed. It's cold like glass, but it's warm? I keep very still because I don't trust it. It makes me feel uncomfortable, like I've weed myself and that I'm sitting in it. No, I don't trust it. Or myself, if I'm honest. The room is infinite. Well, that is what my senses keep telling me, so it probably is? After listening to the professor speak, I wonder if this is what my version of hell is, and that I've created it in my own head? I wish I could have a laptop so I could take notes. Can you imagine? I think that would be an amazing paper for my top journal. Wow, how much of a geeky academic type am I? I'm in hell and the first thing on my mind is recording my experience. I would have thought anyone's first experience should be freaking out because they're in hell. Okay, maybe I should try some freaking out. Nah. There does not seem to be any walls, or perhaps the walls that there just change their mind when I try to notice them. That's why it seems infinitely large. The floor beneath me is polished black stuff, perfect in a way that feels accusatory. It reflects nothing, which I think is probably deliberate. It's quite unquieting, a design choice, possibly by somebody who enjoys anxiety, or possibly by me who enjoys anxiety. Now that's a question to explore in a future therapy session. There are sounds too, screaming, I think. I say I think, because the moment I try to properly listen to them, they disappear. As if they were never there. As if my attention is somehow embarrassing them into silence. But the moment I try to stop to confirm it, they come back stronger, closer, more detailed in a way I did not want to understand. So I don't listen. Which I'm fairly sure is the wrong strategy. Yeah, it really is. If you don't listen, the noises are unbearable to listen to. Well, that sentence made no sense. Something moves at the edge of my vision. Not in a clear way. Nothing happens in a clear way here. It's more like the idea of movement. Like my brain is being offered a suggestion it would prefer to not accept. I did not look directly at it. I'm learning not to do that too. Looking directly at things feels like an agreement to see them. I adjust my glasses. They don't need adjusting. It doesn't help. Of course it doesn't help. My glasses are made for reading academic papers, not preventing existential mental collapse. I'm meant to be in charge here. Did I mentally understand that? I'm meant to be in charge of hell. Help? Somebody help. Please help. Anybody help? Oh. This is the part I keep coming back to. Me in charge. Because it is the only part that feels real enough to hold on to. Me, the caretaker of hell. Temporarily. Administrative. Those were the words used. I'm now deeply suspicious of every word I've ever heard spoken by confident folk in any form of authority. Professor de Montfort said it calmly, as if he were asking me to watch his office plant while he went into a lecture. Lucifer said it was like mildly musing, as if she were lending me a coat. Astaroth, she, they, it, whatever. Let's just say that Astaroth smiled in a way that made me feel like I had already been disassembled and reassembled, but incorrectly. I met Astaroth. I met Satan, and I said, yes, I would sit in. I cannot currently reconstruct the exact reasoning behind that decision. I'm fairly certain it involved the phrase, it will only be for a short time. I'm also fairly certain I've been lied to before under similar conditions. I also had not processed the fact that I was looking after hell. Hell. Looking after hell. The throne shifts slightly beneath me. Not physically, more like conceptually. As if the idea of me sitting here is like still being negotiated by whatever rules govern this entire place. I grip the armrests without meaning to and immediately regret it. The carved faces embedded in them are all screaming silently, which is somehow worse than the actual noise. At least actual noise has the decency to be honest about itself. I let go, but carefully. Do not touch anything. That feels like a good rule here. I try to think about home. Anywhere but here. This is a coping mechanism. It usually works in situations involving stress, embarrassment, or minor academic humiliation, which I am, unfortunately, used to. It is less effective in situations involving metaphysically authority structures and infinite rooms designed by something that hates geometry. I mean, being in hell, I think about normal things. What is normal that normal folk deal with normally? Aha, my mortgage has to be the first. Safe, familiar, horrifying in a predictable, legally binding kind of way. 31 years left, variable interest rate, some kind of arrangement that made sense when I signed it and now feels like I was tricked into some kind of ritual binding with a financial entity. That kind of got a bit supernatural there. But what does a mortgage actually matter or mean when you are in hell? Okay, other normal things. Maybe I need grounding in things like utility bills, electricity, gas, council tax. The quiet insistence of the modern world that existence must be paid for continuously or it'll stop. That is almost comforting compared to this existence type thing. At least those systems pretend to be rational. But what do bills mean here? Does hell pay bills? Oh, I know, normal. Mrs. Perkins and Pickles, the cats! I wonder what they're doing. Probably something destructive. Something small and confident, and entirely convinced that I exist purely to serve them. Feels grounding, real. One of them is probably sitting in a box that it does not fit in, judging physics. They are like little demons. Oh, bloody hell. Wrong choice of wording for me being in hell. Lucifer is a demon cat, and Vaughn is a werecat. Damn, I ruined that version of reality. My parents, then. Can't get any more normal. But that thought lands differently. My parents scare the bejesus out of me, a lot more than, this. A very religious background is too mild a description of how I was raised. It suggests incense, hymns, and careful morality. It was more about absolute than that. Structured, certain. The kind of certainty that does not leave the room for questions, only conclusions. I can already hear what they would say if I tried to explain this. I do not think I would get far past hell before someone started praying very loudly and probably crying. That made no sense in comparison to this, which makes no sense. I give up. Apparently this right now, this right now is normal. Something moves against the edge of my vision. Again. Closer this time. I do not look. I'm learning discipline. Or avoidance. Wait a minute, they feel pretty similar. I should have studied to be a teacher, I say quietly, because saying it out loud makes it feel like it belongs to the world instead of just inside my head. The throne doesn't respond. It never responds. Which I suspect is part of the problem. Part of the problem is that I have nothing to do but think about where I am. There was no guidance on what to do here. No instruction manual is being provided. No supervisor, just infinite space. Faint screaming and that sense of something is watching me, but I can't even think about it. I swallow. This is fine, I lie. This is probably fine. Yeah, that sounds more truthful. I must suck it up and show some of that confidence that no one thinks I have. I am Eleanor. I am temporarily responsible for hell. This is what I keep telling myself. Isn't self-affirmation supposed to help? God, please let it help. I'm temporarily responsible for hell. Temporary is a very important word. I repeat it internally like a prayer. Temporary. 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 Then I wonder, with slow, sinking clarity, I really do not appreciate what happens when whoever is meant to replace me decides they are also temporary. And I realise I am sitting very still in the centre of something that has no intention of ever being finished. This is so un-Eleanor Rigby. So, can I be un-Eleanor Rigby? I'm going to do it. I'm ready. Mentally, on 3. 1, 2, 3, 3.5. Fuck this! I yell into the void. I expected echoes, but none. Just silence, stillness, then laughter.